Hey everyone, before we dive into this story, please consider subscribing to my channel for more engaging content like this. The chicken parmesan crumbled to ash in my mouth as Mom's words lingered in the room. Around the dinner table, my family nodded in unison, like a silent jury passing judgment. Dad sliced his steak with meticulous care, avoiding my gaze. My older brother Marcus hid a smirk behind his wine glass. "It's not about you, Claire," Sarah said, her engagement ring glinting under the chandelier as she waved her hand casually. "Brad's family is well known. His father serves on 3 corporate boards. His mother leads the museum gala committee. We have to uphold a certain reputation." I'd heard this refrain my whole life. Not refined enough, not well-connected enough, not suited for the family's ever-widening social ambitions. In truth, they meant I wasn't useful enough for their networking goals. "We've already told everyone you're away on a work trip," Mom went on, patting her lips with her napkin. "It's simpler than explaining why you're not there. People get career obligations." "Which people?" I asked softly. "The guest list," Sarah snapped, her tone sharp with impatience. "Brad's uncle is a federal judge. His cousin heads the state's biggest investment firm. We can't have them wondering why my sister is," she trailed off. "Why I'm what?" I pressed. "Working at some obscure consulting firm nobody knows," Marcus cut in. "Sarah's wedding will be in Metropolitan Magazine. Every guest counts." I set my fork down deliberately. They had no clue that my obscure firm was the state's most elite policy advisory group. We didn't advertise because our reputation preceded us. Governor Richardson himself had recruited me after reading my infrastructure finance plan. Senator Morrison sought my advice before every budget vote. But I'd learned long ago that my family only valued success they could flaunt at social gatherings. 300 guests, Sarah said, her voice dreamy with social aspiration. "Brad's family knows everyone. The ceremony's at Thornhill Estate, with a reception in the grand ballroom. Ice sculptures, a live orchestra, a champagne fountain, and a live stream," Mom added, beaming. "So friends who didn't make the guest list can still watch. Isn't that amazing?" "Amazing," I echoed flatly. Dad finally spoke up. "It's for the best, Claire. You get it, right? Sarah's marrying into the Whitmore family. This matters for all of us, the connections, the opportunities. You wouldn't want to risk that." What he meant was they were already leveraging Sarah's marriage for their own gain, and I was a potential embarrassment to their social climb. Dinner blurred into endless wedding talk, the designer gown, the celebrity florist, the exclusive caterer, the carefully selected guest list of senators, CEOs, and old money families. Each word underscored that I didn't belong in their world. After dessert, as I grabbed my coat to leave, Sarah pulled me aside in the foyer. "Don't take it personally," she said, her eyes more calculating than kind. "You can watch the live stream. It's practically like being there. Honestly, Claire, you'd probably feel out of place anyway. These are high-profile people. Brad's uncle went to Yale. His aunt is close friends with the governor." I forced a smile. "The governor? That's something." "You have no idea," Sarah said, breathless. "Governor Richardson might even show up. Can you imagine?" She didn't finish, but I could already see the social media posts she was crafting, the photos, the prestige, the bragging rights that would last for years. I drove back to my downtown loft, the one my family assumed I could barely afford. They'd never visited, never asked about my work beyond vague remarks about number crunching or policy stuff. They didn't know I'd led the state's 5-year infrastructure plan, or that my name was on briefing documents the governor reviewed weekly. The irony almost made me laugh. Sarah was praying the governor might attend her wedding, while I'd had lunch with him twice last month to discuss the new transit initiative. My phone pinged, a text from the governor's chief of staff. "Meeting rescheduled to Thursday. 2 p.m. Governor wants your input on the education funding proposal before the press conference." I glanced at the message, then my calendar. Thursday. Sarah's wedding was Saturday. Over the next 2 weeks, the family group chat buzzed with wedding updates. Photos of floral arrangements, revised seating charts, excited notes about RSVPs from prominent guests. Not one message was directed at me, though I stayed in the chat, a silent witness to their social victory. Mom posted on Facebook, "So grateful all my children can share this special day. even if Claire joins us virtually from her important work trip. Technology is incredible. Comments poured in, family friends praising my dedication, distant relatives saying they understood, everyone buying the lie without question. Only Aunt Linda, Dad's sister, messaged me privately. I know you're not on a work trip. Your mom spilled the truth at book club. I'm sorry, sweetheart. This isn't fair. But even Aunt Linda didn't challenge the narrative publicly. The family story was locked in. On Thursday, I sat in the governor's private office, reviewing budget projections. Governor Richardson leaned back, studying my report with a sharp focus that made him one of the state's most effective leaders. This is outstanding, Claire, he said. Your regional economic impact analysis is exactly what we needed. The Transportation Committee will greenlight this with your numbers. Thank you, sir. He smiled. How many times do I have to say it? Call me Jim in private. He glanced at his calendar. You mentioned a family thing this weekend, right? I hesitated. My sister's wedding, actually. Wonderful. Congratulations to her. Big event, I hear. Thornhill Estate, 300 guests. Quite the affair. His eyes lit up with interest. That's the Whitmore wedding, isn't it? Brad Whitmore. My stomach sank. You know the family? Richard, his father, and I go way back. Law school roommates. Got their invitation months ago, he chuckled. These society weddings. You end up invited to everyone's kids' events after 40 years in politics. It'll be nice to finally meet your family. Your parents, your sister. The room seemed to tilt. Actually, I said carefully, I'm not attending. His eyebrows shot up. I thought you said, I'm not on the guest list. Space issues. The silence was heavy. Governor Richardson set his pen down, his expression shifting from surprise to something icy. Let me get this straight, he said, his voice low and deliberate, the tone he reserved for corrupt officials. Your sister's having a 300-person wedding, and you're not invited. But I am. It's complicated. Not for me. So I told him, not everything, but enough. The years of being dismissed, the subtle cruelty masked as pragmatism, the lie about my work trip, my family's obsession with status, and their plan to climb the social ladder through Sarah's marriage. When I finished, his jaw was tight, the kind of look that unnerved seasoned politicians. They told everyone you're away for work, he repeated, while hoping I'd show up to boost their status, using a wedding as a networking event. I don't want to stir up trouble, I said. He leaned forward. You wrote the infrastructure plan that'll shape this state for a decade. You closed the transit deal 3 administrations couldn't. You're behind the biggest education investment in our history. And your family thinks you're not sophisticated enough for a wedding. They don't know any of that. I keep my work private. Maybe it's time they did. He pulled out his phone. Clear your schedule for Saturday. Official state business. Governor, I can't just... Jim, he corrected. And yes, you can. I need my senior policy advisor for a key community engagement opportunity. On the wedding day, I wore my sharpest suit, not a bridesmaid dress, but the professional armor I used for state budget hearings. If I was crashing my sister's wedding on the governor's orders, I'd do it my way. The live stream began at 4 p.m. I watched on my laptop as guests arrived at Thornhill Estate in luxury cars and designer outfits. My family greeted them with polished charm. Sarah glowed in her gown, the perfect bride for the cameras. Mom and Dad worked the crowd like seasoned networkers, making introductions, collecting business cards, securing connections. The ceremony started at 5 o'clock. I half listened to the vows while answering emails. It was background noise until the officiant pronounced them married, and the camera swept over the clapping guests. That's when I spotted him, Governor Richardson, in the 3rd row, not clapping. His face was neutral, but I knew that look, restrained fury. The live stream shifted to the reception. More champagne, more networking. My family was everywhere, introducing Sarah and Brad to VIPs, laughing too loudly, trying too hard. Then the governor approached my parents. Even through the pixelated feed, I saw Mom's face light up with recognition. She clutched Dad's arm. They adjusted their clothes, flashed their best smiles, and turned to greet him like they'd hit the social jackpot. I couldn't hear the exchange, but I watched the governor speak with calm formality. Mom nodded eagerly. Dad gestured towards Sarah and Brad. Typical wedding chatter. Then the governor said something else. Mom's smile wavered. She shook her head, clearly confused. He spoke again, more firmly. Dad's face went pale. My phone rang, Governor Richardson. Claire, I need you to clear something up for your parents, he said, his voice echoing slightly on the live stream. They think you're away on a work trip. I told them you're my senior policy advisor and definitely in town, but they're insisting there's a mix-up. Can you set them straight? On the live stream, Mom scanned the room frantically, as if I might appear out of thin air. Dad looked ashen. Sarah noticed the stir and hurried over with Brad in tow. No mix-up, Governor, I said clearly, knowing he had me on speaker. I wasn't invited. My family thought I wasn't polished enough for their guest list. Gasps broke the silence on the other end. On the live stream, Mom's hand flew to her mouth. Dad looked ready to collapse. Sarah's face flashed from confusion to recognition to horror in seconds. I see, the governor said, his tone arctic. That's disappointing. I was eager to discuss Claire's exceptional work on the infrastructure initiative with her family. She's too humble to say it, but her policy frameworks are models for 3 other states. The transit deal she secured will create thousands of jobs. And the education funding plan we're announcing Monday? Entirely her vision. On the live stream, guests started noticing the scene. Phones emerged. The crowd edged closer. But I suppose that's irrelevant, the governor went on, when it's about maintaining a certain image at a wedding. He paused. Excuse me, I've lost my interest in celebrating. He hung up. On the live stream, he gave my parents a curt nod and headed for the exit. Several guests followed, including, satisfyingly, the federal judge and investment firm CEO Sarah had been so desperate to impress. They were the governor's allies, after all. Where he went, they followed. My phone lit up. Mom, Dad, Sarah, Marcus. I let them all go to voicemail. The live stream chat erupted. Wait, the sister works for the governor? They didn't invite her? So awkward. OMG, she's the transit deal woman. My company tried to hire her. Someone screen recorded the moment. It hit Twitter in minutes, TikTok in 10. Governor calls out family for excluding senior advisor from wedding started trending. Voicemails stacked up. Mom crying about a misunderstanding, Dad demanding I call back, Sarah sobbing that I'd ruined her wedding, Marcus calling me selfish. But Aunt Linda's text made me smile. About time someone set them straight. That governor's a class act. You're a star who's been hiding her shine. Stop that now. Love you, sweetheart. By Sunday, local news picked up the story. Policy advisor excluded from family wedding gets governor's support. It ran on 3 channels. The human interest angle was irresistible. Successful woman dismissed by status-obsessed family, backed by the state's top official. My firm's partner called. Claire, clients want you. Competitors want to hire you. Universities want you to speak. This is huge. The governor called too. What your family did was wrong. I left because I won't endorse people who prioritize status over their daughter. You saw the live stream. I told him I had. He laughed. Good. Now brace for the press conference. It'll make waves. The room was packed, cameras flashing as the governor introduced me as the education plan's architect. Reporters fired questions. I answered steadily. Some of Sarah's wedding guests watched, now with respect. That night, Sarah posted wedding photos. The comments were brutal. Imagine not inviting your sister. She's the real deal. Mom and Dad visited my loft for the first time. You never told us, Mom said, teary. You never asked, I replied. You cared about appearances, not me. Sarah looked rattled. The wedding's ruined. Everyone's talking. Brad's parents are livid. I'm not sorry, I said. These are consequences. They left, unsettled. Aunt Linda came with wine. Your mom thinks you're unreasonable. I told her it's her turn to feel uncomfortable. The story spread. TikTok hit 3 million views. The governor's office invited me to speak at the state summit. I said yes. Newspapers splashed my name on front pages. Calls flooded in universities, think tanks, organizations. My family finally saw what they'd overlooked. Sarah called. I didn't know you were that person. Can we fix this? I don't know, I said. My value isn't about networking. It's about work. She went quiet. Call me when you get the difference. Flowers arrived from the governor's office for the advisor who doesn't need a wedding invite to prove her worth. I kept them on my desk, not for spite, but as a reminder I'd earned respect through skill, not status. 3 months later, my name was on the governor's new economic council. Mom texted the family chat, "We're proud of you." Still performing, but I didn't need it. I had self-respect, success built on merit, and proof that true sophistication lies in character, not social climbing.